You are listening to the 2.5 Weebs podcast, a show where two veteran anime fans drag a newbie down the rabbit hole of waifus, isekai, and fan service, as well as the happenings in the gaming world. The show is recorded every Sunday live on the Mixer channels of Comfimus and Mr. Vengeance. Enjoy.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 2.5 Weebs. Hello, everybody. How are you guys today?
Go with the theme music.
We have theme music?
Do we? What? When
We
did
don't have theme music. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But imagine for a second if we did.
Imagine everybody listens to this. There'd be a production value and didn't randomly wander into different territories of topics.
Dale over here's like, dun, 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 dun. Like, is this Monty Python the Holy Grail?
It's Jurassic Park. God. Yeah. Okay. So, first off, some asshole didn't finish his homework.
Man, wonder who could have been.
Might
that
have
asshole.
forgotten to watch the last 2 episodes you're supposed to cover. I only have seen the first 3.
Two episodes. Wow.
I know,
Not even the
right?
last one, like not even number 5, which okay, I can understand.
You know what the worst part is the last 2 episodes actually started getting me interested.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Considering the last 2 episodes is like time skip, it's kind of a big deal for Dale to have missed those.
No, wait,
Like
no.
at the end, like partway through episode 3, they're like 2 years later.
Yeah. I didn't dislike that.
It was unexpected. Okay, let's
100% unexpected.
Like,
All right, let's
that time skip. We'll jump back
Yeah,
to this
yeah,
in
yeah,
a
for
minute
sure.
when we go through the other stuff. But yeah, there's a time skip in this that is out of left field. They make no illusion that it's coming, and you're like, what?
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
mad about it.
I'm
I
not
think it
mad
was
about
a
it
very
either.
good choice. Don't get me wrong.
But yeah,
Yes, I think it did skip things ahead nicely, which and it
Because you
gives us
could kind of see how the character interactions were heading in a single direction, and they were like, "Hey, you know what? Why do you need to watch this? Like, let's skip it." So
it was interesting choice.
yeah.
oh no.
So yeah, we are going to be catching up with Inspector because we're dropping Interspecies, of course. So we are going to be
Because-
talking about the first 5 episodes. I've only seen the first 3 because the reason was episode 4 wasn't available yet without Crunchyroll Premium. I don't have Crunchyroll Premium, so I didn't watch it, and then I forgot to watch episode 4 and then figure out how to watch 5. So that's my excuse, and it's a bad excuse, but it's my excuse.
If I could find the uncensored version of Interspecies reviewers,
That's true.
I still have it. I can give it to you.
I sent Dale a link that should work for him, and if it doesn't, I can send him my login info for Crunchyroll. I mean, we would never share accounts; that'd be unethical.
Yes, very much. Even though 800 people do it on Netflix. That's an understatement. There's at least 800,000.
Do you mean like,
800,000.
Yes.
do you mean like 80% of the user base?
Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you right now, the reason they added profiles to Netflix is because they knew that people were doing it. It was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were gonna place it at first, and they're like, you know what?
We can't
Yeah,
really stop this. So
Yeah, I mean, like my family has one Netflix account, and there are, 6 of us. I
Yeah.
think. I don't know. I'm really bad at counting. 6 of us and 5 profiles on our Netflix. So it's crazy. Now, if you're wondering, wow, Comfy, does that mean that you are one of the 2 unlucky people that has to share a profile? Yes. And that also means that The Witcher has been watched on that profile, I think 5 times already. So
your brother hasn't seen it yet.
he's watched it twice.
Okay.
I like that you're just like, yeah, never, just forever.
So yeah. Anyway, we had originally watched the first episode of this in our decision making, and then we made a poor decision and decided that Interspecies Reviewers was the way
I
to
don't
go.
think it was a poor decision.
It was a bad decision.
Nobody
I think-
expected it to go that way. Not even the carrier of the show expected it to go that way.
Yeah, well, it was a bad
Like,
decision.
as much as I'd love to rip on Copper and be like, oh man, he should have known better. Like, no, like we actually didn't have any idea that it would get
Like I
as
even
bad
researched the
as it
source
did.
material, and it's like, okay then.
And I did double check Copper's work. I went through with a red pen, and like it was man, they really got gratuitous for no reason.
Yeah,
Well,
like way away from the source material. So it was very out of left field. Not something we expected to occur.
Well, either
But
way, we aren't watching that anymore. So we spent this
No.
week catching up, as we've talked about, and
Let
so
me get the Japanese name of this
there
show
are
really
5
quick.
episodes out now. The full Weebs have seen it all, so I guess I'm on brand.
He only watched half of it this week. It's perfect.
Yeah, accidentally.
All right, so I will try to take a bit of the helm here. We're gonna see how I can do. We'll roll through this. All right. So this week we watched the second, third, fourth, and fifth episode, if you were following along, of Inspector or Kyoko Sueri. This show is about a girl who became the yokai and demons, basically goddess of wisdom. She lost an eye and a leg. The first episode introduced her and her backstory of how she lost her eye and her leg, and her boyfriend, also not boyfriend. Also, it's kind of confusing. I think that she just decided she was in a relationship at one point, and he was too lazy to say no.
It's
Am I wrong? It's a
Especially,
great
like,
dynamic.
not even
like,
he wasn't
especially
too.
looking at the phone pictures she shows his ex-girlfriend, which is the thing that happens.
happens later
like,
on.
he is like the
He
most
looks
unimpressed
miserable.
person. Yeah, it's the strangest thing.
It wasn't so much.
I love the dynamic so much. It's just kind of hilarious. So he's very tsundere and she's very aggressive, which is funny because at the start of this she's like 17 and he's like 22. So there's like, or 21, I don't remember.
I
There's
don't
a bit
know.
of
It
an
doesn't
age
matter.
gap, but not enough
He's
to
20
make it weird.
At the very start, he's 22, she's 17.
you go.
So they start dating, and that means that after the time skip occurs, she is 19, she
19.
says. We don't know if she's a fresh 19 or if she's like almost 20 type thing.
Fresh
so he'd be
19.
24.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Well,
basically,
that's when I got my girl.
so for the second episode, basically
Nothing.
picks up.
Not even a lie.
Listen, I was just walking. I just kept walking.
Oh man.
Editor, cut that.
No, leave that in, Shark.
What? Are you editing the what?
No, my new favorite meme has been cut that, or don't cut that, or leave that in, or hey Shark, edit this. So because the poor guy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this episode starts off, and our main character, who I actually don't remember her name because they barely ever say it.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you either.
Because she's the main character. Nobody ever talks to her. She just talks at people. So they starts off and she's like, hey, listen, my boyfriend who doesn't think he's my boyfriend yet, but don't worry, we'll change that, Kuro, because that's his name. Hey, I need to go up into the mountains and talk to a giant snake. You want to come hang out with me? And he was like, no, why the fuck would I do that?
I'm gonna make
setting up our dynamic.
I'm gonna eat my pork. What was it? Soup? Something
He's
pork
like,
soup.
I'm making
Pork
miso
miso-
soup. I'm busy.
He's making pork miso soup,
Ah,
which
okay.
she thinks is actually like just a lie, and she
Listen, it sounds like a
she
lot.
turns up. Yeah, it sounds like a lie. She turns up to his house to confront him about this and try to see if he'll go with her. And he's literally making pork miso soup. She's like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck? You're actually
She's
making
like,
pork
"Wait."
miso soup?"
He's like, "Yeah."
yeah." He's like,
And then she's like, well, are you coming with me? He's like, no, because I have soup on the stove.
no, I
Like-
told you I wasn't going with you already. Like, what?
And then he does the cute thing that everybody like gushed over the internet for a week, which was he gave her like his little high school jacket when he went up to the forest for like camping and stuff,
And then a thermos full of the soup he made.
and a thermos full of the soup, and then pushed her out the door and said, good luck.
Yeah, and stole one of her yokai.
It's dangerous to go
Yeah.
alone. Take this.
He did steal one of the yokai as well.
Mhm. Well, that you find out
And-
that is so he can have the yokai lead him to her later. So
Yeah, because he's actually a sweet, sweet boy and not as scummy as he plays it off. So then our good girl goes up and is basically riding a bunch of yokai on like
they're carrying her on like imagine.
what's the wording for that?
I don't know, but they're all carrying a sled and she's riding on the sled essentially.
Yeah, basically carrying her like a pharaoh or something.
Yeah. In her nice little, maybe a sled's not the right, like a carriage without wheels, and they're all just. She's basically using them as horses because she's a bitch. She's not a bitch. She's quite nice. I was just joking. But she rides. She makes them take her all the way up the mountain where she meets a giant spirit snake, and the snake is all like fucking like 50 feet. It's an insanely large snake. It's like a forest spirit. And the snake presents her with a question where he's like, I saw some chick push a body into the swamp, and I don't know why. So they spent the whole episode where she's basically trying to come up with a reason for all of this to happen, which isn't like she doesn't actually know for a fact.
This episode kind of annoyed me. I'm gonna be honest.
She's making shit up the whole time. Like it's just
I watched this episode. I was like, did we make a mistake?
Because so this episode and the next episode, episode 2 and 3 are very slow, especially in comparison to...
The second half of 3 picks up, though.
Yeah, the second half of 3 does pick up a bit, but the whole thing is extremely, like, weirdly slow considering how fast the first episode kind of went, like, when they started getting into stuff. Also, they kind of skip over what the fuck happened at the end of the first episode and just kind of move ahead, like, a few days or a couple of weeks, and there's no explanation about
it's like they kind of just because they at the end of the first episode they reveal that like, oh hey, yeah, I ate some yokai and now I have special powers, and he leaves off on this like one liner that's like, and then I didn't stop eating, and it's like wait, is this supposed to be badass? Is it supposed to be terrifying? Like,
yeah, he's like, I can eat as much of yokai flesh as I wanted. It's like, okay,
like what's the goal here? Is he trying to be intimidating? Is he trying to do something? And it just cuts and then it doesn't go back to it, and the most we get is kind of like a calm. Well, we do get a lot more backstory later on, which we'll dive into, but
yes, we get more backstory later.
Episode, they do a little bit of like, hey, well, what happened? And he's like, well, I ate mermaid meat so I can because I ate mermaid, I'm immortal. But then I also had, what was the other thing that he had? It started with a K.
I don't know.
Cabon, not sure how to pronounce. Kudon, that's it.
Yeah.
So he has this thing. Yeah, so he has mermaid meat, which, according to legend, is supposed to make you immortal if you eat it. So you're immune to injury. Like if you get injured, your body instantly heals, which we've seen in his case. And if you're immortal, you don't age. Now, he says he ate this stuff when he was 11. Obviously, he is aging because he aged to an adult.
That's because of the Kudon meat that you eat, which Kudons can see the future, but they have to die to do so. And so it's constantly wrecking his body at roughly the same pace that the mermaid flesh is regenerating it. So he ages like a normal human.
And the reason he doesn't
They didn't talk about that part, at least not in the episodes I saw.
They touched on it.
Did they touch on it? I guess I
they go like a whole backstory for him.
Maybe I did miss that part.
They also mentioned the fact that the reason he doesn't feel pain, because he didn't react at all when his arm was bitten off, is because his grandmother, who's the person who fed him this stuff, which she knew would most likely kill every person she fed this to, because it's been going on
killed
his
9
family.
of his siblings.
Yeah, so his family has been doing this for generations to try to get the ability to predict the future. It started like 10 generations in the past, and every generation they keep doing this stuff to their own family members. He's the first actual full success.
Was this episode 4 and 5?
This was in episode 4.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they go a lot into his backstory in episode 4 about what he is and like why he's the way he is.
Yeah.
So his family's been doing this for generations. Previously, what would happen is that if someone ate the Kudon meat, it would either kill them either immediately or a couple days later, or they'd get the ability to predict the future. But like the Kudon, once they did so, it would be almost 100% a negative future. Like they would predict something bad and that bad thing would happen, and then die. It would come true, but they would also die like as soon as their one prediction was made, just like an actual Kudon does. So that isn't really serving this guy's needs for his family, because he's trying to do this so his family can predict the future, thus make a shit ton of money and have an easy street.
Got it.
So he comes across another scroll which mentions the fact that, according to legend, if you eat mermaid flesh, you become immortal. So he figures, okay, if I feed this my subjects both of these things, if it works, they'll become immortal, so death won't take hold, but they'll still be able to predict the future. Awesome. So he starts doing this and never succeeds. It still kills everybody. And then we go forward like 9 generations.
The family basically stops, like this dies in its tracks, and then basically like I'd say 7 generations later, because it was his grandma. Like she basically like figured out that the family was doing stuff and started like trying to keep the dream alive, and then
she starts trying to do the same thing.
She like calls in all the young kids and is like, hey everybody, we're not going to do anything bad, and it's like, here, have some sushi, and it's actually just mermaid meat and Kudon meat. And like 9 out of 10 people die, and so Kuro's just there and he's like, why is everyone in pain? And she's like, no, you're fine, you're the only one that matters, fuck the other kids.
And so because it worked on him and they're all dead, she decides, okay,
stabs him in the head, just murder.
Like predict something for me, tell me what tomorrow's weather is going to be like. And then stabs him, so he'll be able to see the future,
and then abuses him so much that he doesn't feel pain.
Jesus Christ.
Like literally like cutting him apart, murdering him constantly, like just everything she can think of to test his powers. Like,
does he predict the future every time he dies or some shit?
So
every time he dies, he gets a vision of the future.
So Kudons can see the future, but
it kills them.
See the future, they die. So because he has that perfect loop of every time I die, I see the future, but every time I die, I also come back to life.
Got it.
He basically, and I'll explain later, he's perfect for combat. Which that was actually a really cool scene that they did with him.
Got it. Okay.
So back to not episode 4 and 5.
Yep. We'll get there.
Basically, good girl goes up to the snake and is like, yo, what's going on? The snake's like, somebody dropped a body in here in my swamp, and I don't know why. I simply asked them, what are you doing in my swamp? And now I'm scared. And she's like, well, maybe it was this. And he's like, well, that doesn't make sense. He's like, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm wrong. What about this? And just the entire episode is just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it'll stick, which is why it was kind of weird.
It was kind of, I kind of didn't like, I don't know. Like I'm
the whole episode wasn't great. The whole second episode in the first part of 3 is basically this girl sitting with the snake and discussing this murder case.
Yes.
So this murder had occurred. The snake's brought into it because this body is dumped into its swamp. And the girl just goes through plausible scenario after plausible scenario with the snake, trying to see if the evidence fits the scenario that they've thought of, which is kind of how detective work works.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out what had occurred, going through all the possible solutions and what the evidence is showing them based on those things. And it's slow going. It's not exactly entertaining, but it's how things actually get, properly solved when you're looking at this type of stuff.
Yeah, and so basically the entire
episode
episode
super interesting,
jumping back and forth. No, it really wasn't. It was kind of disappointing as the second and third episode, but hey, we got through it.
Yeah,
we
and
finished
so
that part.
Basically, she ends up feeding the giant snake an answer, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, all right."
Yeah.
And in the middle of this, what's his name? He shows up.
Kuro.
He shows up, and then they start sitting together,
shows up.
and then yada yada yada. The snake is like, "I'm fucking terrified," and then it's kind of like, "Huh? Why is this the snake? The giant fucking snake is terrified." So anyway,
we do find out why they're scared of him too later on.
Got it.
In episode 5.
Okay.
They're given an explanation about why yokai find him so terrifying.
They do.
It's based on actually
they kind of explained it in the backstory. So why don't we just throw it in now? Because otherwise we're not going to loop back to it.
They talk about in episode 4, a big chunk of it is discussing his backstory. That's a huge part of the information in that episode. And in episode 5, they mention that it's not because he ate yokai flesh that they're scared of him. It's because of what that made him look like to yokai.
So you know how in Interspecies reviewers, they talk a lot about how mana makes somebody look. So mana makes somebody look old or disgusting or young and fresh, despite how their outer being is.
Got it.
So Kuro essentially looks like this godforsaken mold of a human, a cow with a face, and a mermaid, all of which are, let's be real, the Kudons and mermaids in actual lore are fucking terrifying.
Yeah, a Kudon is basically a
Like-
cow with a human face. Look at a human head, which is weird as shit.
And
And a
if you ever
mermaid
look at
is
like OG mermaid
basically,
art, it is spooky.
especially Japanese mermaids. They're
Oh god.
weird. They are weird looking,
Okay.
and that is basically what he looks like. A mix, like this strange amalgam of creatures.
Exactly. So he looks like a monster to the monsters,
Got it.
which is why they're afraid of him, is because they
I
don't know
see.
how to like deal with that. Which is interesting. I like that that's how it is, and it's not just like, oh, I can sense his power levels from over here, which is
They're
what I
over
thought they were gonna go
9,000.
for. So
yeah.
continuing, Snake. They come up with a plausible solution to why there was a body dumped in the swamp. The plausible solution being, hey, well, I mean, she probably was trying to protect the actual killer and was just being nice out of a crime of passion. And that's like pretty much ends it. Like partway through episode 3, they figure that out, and then they're like, all right, 2 years in the future.
Yeah.
Time jump time. It's like,
Well, no, because
Okay.
they also touched on the way down the mountain. She's talking to dude, and she's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that-
kind of a load of bullshit, but like, hey, he's happy
she's
now."
like, it's a possible solution, but it's not probably right because
Definitive.
of what she had heard from. She just discloses when they're going down the mountain in her cab that,
Mhm.
and going back to the city, that she had sent a ghost to listen in on the woman who was accused of the murder, who had confessed to the murder. Should be noted.
Full confession. This is how I did it. This is where I hid the body. This is where I hid the murder weapon. This is the
Well, no,
exact scenario.
She doesn't go through that, but she mentions something else during it, that she's upset that the snake didn't eat the body, right? Which is something that they had discarded earlier as a possible reason why she dumped this, the body in the swamp in the first place. So it's like, okay, well, if she dumped the snake there for it to eat it, then the other solution that they had discussed as the actual answer isn't true, because that was part of the reasoning behind that one, as why that would be the possible solution, is that she didn't expect the body to be eaten by the snake. But if she actually did, and mentioned that she did, then that solution is a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
So, but she just goes, this is kind of what it is. Like, there's no possible way to actually know what she's, like, why she did it and what she was thinking of, because she hasn't said, so there's no way to tell.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Like that. I really hope that whole like conversation and setup holds more weight later on, because
We'll see.
it seems interesting, but the problem is it feels like it goes nowhere.
It kind of goes nowhere. I think it's a setup to show you that she actually does go around to solve.
I think
Like-
it's like just a world story building, which is fine.
Yeah, I think too. I don't think they should put it as episode 2 and 3.
Yeah,
but
especially after episode 1 with having the skip.
It feels like they built a
in
lot of
there.
momentum in episode 1 and then threw it away really quickly in episode 2.
Yeah, maybe.
And then started building it back up in 3.
Mhm.
Well, especially since with how episode 1 ended, like at that interesting little cliffhanger, and then it's like, nope, like, because they do the time skip to start episode 2, so you're like,
No, it was
Like, all the
it
tension
was like
and-
halfway through. It was at the start of episode 3 that they did the
no,
time
start
skip.
episode 2. There's a time skip from the end of episode 1.
Oh, okay.
Like, they
Yeah,
built up
but
all
it's
this
not.
tension in the episode 1, and then did a little time hop, and because of that time hop, all the tension they had built up is gone, right? Like, there's
Okay.
no like that. And then they do
Mhm.
then at the end, kind of at the end part of 3, they do the other time skip. They're like 2 years later, and it's like, what?
hell?
Because you're like, why? And then they start going into the fact they're looking into another murder. And it's like, okay, I see kind of the connection. Like, she basically, her job is to go around and, help calm the fears of people who've been involved in incidents with people or answer questions. And she does a lot of actual detective work as well, which kind of what 2 and 3 sets up is the fact that she's doing detective work as part of her normal, spiel for stuff, which is cool. But it's like, I still wish 2 and most of 3 had been a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
It really killed the vibe of the show. Like
it really like it like you got in the car and you started picking up speed, and then like you see a yellow light up there, and you could go for it, and you could keep that momentum, or you could slam on the brakes. And this show slammed on the brakes
like super hard.
Yeah,
like super hard. It was weird.
But then it does start to build it back up somehow. So episode 3, the second half of episode 3, I should say.
Because after they finally go down the mountain, they do the 2 years time jump, and they go to a woman who you find out is dude's ex-girlfriend, who is now a meter maid. She's a cop,
she's
but she's a meter maid
working on the traffic.
Well,
she's meter maids are police officers.
She's a
Don't
cop,
let anybody tell you otherwise. She is a police officer. She's assigned to the traffic patrol.
Right.
Yes.
She has all the same rights and abilities as a normal police officer. So if you've ever been in an argument with a meter maid, you're actually arguing with a cop.
Yeah.
And
also, I guarantee they are probably more likely to arrest you because they've already had it with your shit.
Yeah, like they get a lot of shit from people. People like, you're not a real cop. And they're like, yeah, actually they are.
Man, especially like in my city, like downtown, there's a lot of the people running meters drive around in literal like smart cars or golf carts, and it looks ridiculous, and it's not fair.
Yeah, they do that because they're cheap. Like they're cheap.
Oh, exactly. They're cheap, it's easy, and it's a downtown area, so it's very good to get in small areas.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just how it works. So,
just like around me, there's in Halifax, there's the city that's close, like biggest city that's closest to me. There's police officers who ride bikes. There's police officers with horses.
Yeah.
Around me, there's police officers with 4x4 trucks that can go down the wooden, like the trails in the woods and stuff like that after people.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Of course it does.
So,
cop lives in the middle of nowhere.
An officer is driving a small car doesn't mean they're not a cop, especially if they're giving you a ticket for something.
Yeah, basically respect authority, or when you get kicked in the dick, don't be surprised. So basically she starts talking about, hey, there's some weird stuff going on lately to her colleague. It's like, yeah.
So it should be pointed out, it starts off with this guy.
We did skip that. We did skip the scene of the guy driving down the highway.
Which sets us up. He's driving down the highway in an SUV, kind of a dark night. Looks like it might have been like raining earlier or something like that. And he's talking on the phone while driving. Don't do that. And he's talking to his buddy about the new girl at work, and how she's really hot. And it's got these huge, and, as he says that, this ghost appears in front of him out in the road, who's, in a short little skimpy dress, is holding a like 3-meter steel girder.
No, it's like a steel beam. Is that like a construction
steel girder beam? That's the same thing.
Okay. Right.
And has no face and giant boobs. Like
this is the thing that Copper needs to get stuck on, is the big, massive titties.
Yes.
To make a point, the show actually makes a point of mentioning
the show very much so.
They keep mentioning
how
the tits.
big her boobs are.
Yeah,
like, it actually does. It's very. I don't know why they do either. It's a very strange thing, which I think is probably going to be important later. Because you don't mention something like that in a show like this unless there's a reason for it.
Yeah, it's not just. They're not just out here wilding. Like, they actually have some context, I hope.
Like, yeah, there's got to be a context to them mentioning that particular little point. So he sees this ghost, freaks out, starts, car swerves. He goes over the edge of the thing. I initially thought, okay, he's dead.
That I did too. I think we all thought that he was just going to die.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, he's got to be dead at this point. Turns out, no, he's survived.
That is exactly why.
Not even a serious injury to him, because he's able to give a statement to the police right away, which is
so.
what they're discussing. And the reason they're talking about it, she gets approached by a detective, and the reason he talks to her is that she was one of the people who responded to the accident.
Yeah, she's the one that pulled him out of the river and blah blah blah. Yeah, she's the one that first interviewed him.
Yeah, because she's on traffic patrol, and accidents fall under traffic control people.
Yes.
So she goes there, talks to him, gets a statement, and he talks to her about, about what a report says, because her report says that, he saw a dog and swerved to avoid the dog and ended up going off the road.
Right.
But he mentions that his initial statement was that he'd seen a ghost and describes the ghost, and is like, why did you go with the dog story instead of his initial statement? And she's like, well, with everything going on and the rumors going around about this, faceless ghost, and, not wanting to seem like a crazy person, I decided to go with the dog statement because what does it actually matter?
At the end of the day, he swerved off the road because he saw something that freaked him out.
Yeah,
that's the important part of the police report.
Which, she mentions, like, the important part is that he swerved because he thought he saw something that wasn't there.
Exactly.
Like, that's all that really matters for the report. Doesn't matter if it was a dog or a ghost or, Mickey Mouse. Like, it doesn't matter what he saw or thought he saw. So she's like, not a big deal. And so that brings him to the discussion of this ongoing local rumor of this ghost of a little known idol, basically someone who's like a Japanese idol, so singer, actress type of deal.
Yeah.
Who wasn't very super well known. She's kind of like, D-list celebrity type of thing. Who had recently died a year ago at a hotel in the city after being crushed by a bunch of steel beams.
Yeah, like a construction accident or something, maybe. Yes. I don't know exactly.
They're not really sure.
She was trying to escape the paparazzi.
Well, she wasn't running from paparazzi that day. She'd been traveling around at various hotels and staying at various hotels to avoid.
I was just trying to provide context for why she was going to different hotels and stuff.
Yeah,
so she's hotel hopping, and she ends up in this city that the story is currently taking place in.
Yeah, and they think it's an accident. There's a witness who heard steel beams falling during the storm that was happening that night.
And he went to go check it the next day, and lo and behold, there is some splat underneath it.
He sees a bunch of blood and, an arm sticking out. So he's like, oh my God, somebody got killed.
Yep.
So they discover it's like they move all the beams. The head is too destroyed to even check the teeth. So they end up going by, the fact that the body's here. The ID shows it was this particular person. Her phone's there, like all her personal effects. And they go, okay, this has got to be her. Check, yep, she was here. So this is obviously, the body. She died, blah, blah, blah. A year later, this ghost starts appearing in the same outfit that she would wear when performing at times, wielding a steel beam and like causing like destruction and scaring the shit out of people. And eventually she starts attacking people, which is where our ghost people come in, because it's them that she starts attacking first.
Yeah. So you then see, what is their fucking name? One of these days we'll learn their anime names, the characters.
Which one? I literally have the wiki page up.
The
Ex-girlfriend.
police woman. Yeah, the ex-girlfriend cop.
Saki.
So Saki's walking home and she's all like, everywhere I look, I feel like I'm being watched, because she knows that the yokai are real and shit, because she dated Dude Face and she saw Dude Face get his hand healed in front of him with, like, he was cooking dinner and he cut his doing dishes. Dishes.
She was doing the dishes, broke a glass,
and like his hand completely healed right in front of her.
He's basically just washing in a glass and it shatters while he's doing it. I've had a glass do this.
I've never had that.
Basically, if you wash glasses that are actual glass in water that's super, super hot,
and then you put them in cold,
them in water that's too cold, they will shatter in your hands.
That is exactly how glass works.
Yes.
And they can cut you pretty severely.
Yes, I have absolutely been cut by glass more times than I can count.
What happens to him. And she actually later mentions that his fingers were severed, which is not what we actually get to see. But his hand, being him, heals instantly, and it freaks her the fuck out. And then later on, they have the incident with the Kappa, the
Yeah.
Japanese demon, not
which
the
happened in
witch
episode
thingy.
1, which is why she
These
broke
ones
up
aren't
with
trying
him.
to suck your butthole, by the way.
And so she freaks out and assumes that, okay, he's not human. How can I marry someone and be family with someone and want to have a family with someone who's not even human?
Yeah, and so
that traumatizes her. The whole thing traumatizes her. So she's like, ghosts and spirits and demons are real. This demon, this spirit is appearing in the city and trying to hurt people. This is bad. And she's all freaked out. She's walking up this hill at home, like to go home. And our Comfy's best girl, because flat is justice, comes tripping down.
Copper is like flip flopping with my best girl intentions as to whether it's a thick thighs save lives or flat is justice. And my favorite thing is, I don't know if he knows which one I really prefer.
Why not both?
You prefer someone who's flat and has thick thighs, obviously.
Holy shit, he knows.
So she stumbles down the hill, bumps into the policewoman who catches her, and she's like, "Okay, you need to leave." It's like thanks for helping me and catching me, but you need to get out of here. Like,
do me a favor and run.
Yeah,
you cannot do anything here. Get out.
And then the ghost appears, of course.
And Copper's like, best girl, Steel Lady Nanase, because she's got them tickle bitties, and we know that's how Copper is. So she shows up, and basically there's this epic fight scene between Steel Lady and a girl with one leg. It's actually, listen, I want to make a point of saying this show is extremely well animated.
Yeah.
Like, it is very pretty. Regardless of the desaturation that Copper despises, the actual like frames that they do are so good.
I don't know, everything seems fine to me. I don't see any issues. I don't look at things from an artistic eye view.
It's not something you would really notice unless you're like really looking for it, but that's something that Copper looks for. So
yeah.
Well, it's something I notice. I notice colors really easily.
Because it's what you do.
For me, it's part of my job. So I look at colors a lot that are exceptionally close in shades, but make a difference when you alter the shade that small bit. So for me, when something is desaturated, it's extremely noticeable.
Yeah.
Now desaturation is when there's not a whole lot of color variant, right?
No. Yeah. So the colors are muted, like they're not as bright as they could be.
Okay.
Like especially when we were first looking at shows, and if you compared this one to our first pick, which was Interspecies Reviewers, that show is extremely saturated with color, like it's super bright and vibrant.
Every single isekai you watch, except maybe Log Horizon, is extremely bright.
Yes, they're very, very saturated with color, and they do that on purpose.
Yeah,
I see a lot
because it brings up the fantasy. Like Konosuba is the best example of this, in my opinion, because they saturate everything.
Yes, they saturate everything, but they also use a lot of whites and grays. So when they do put color into something, it pops out super far.
And they do that intentionally. Like they turn it up to 11 because it's a parody of isekais.
Yep.
So they gotta go everything up to 11, which makes it work really, really well.
It's
in my opinion,
interesting take of it's an interesting take of doing things. It's also something you see super common in shonen animes as well. There's colors are usually super saturated.
And then a lot of the times, like you can see this in Dragon Ball and stuff, they'll like desaturate the backgrounds but oversaturate the characters when something's happening. Such as the Tournament of Power in Dragon Ball Super. You'll notice that partway through it, everything gets desaturated, but Goku's suddenly glowing white. Crazy.
Yeah. So they do that, or when they're using like the Kamehameha stuff like that, like that's super saturated. They add glowing effects and things like that to it
because it gives more impact.
Yeah.
Which is
but this show, a lot of it is desaturated, but some things aren't. Like, for example, in episode 2, the snake.
Steel Lady Nanase was not desaturated, I'll tell you that much.
No, not desaturated at all. And she's actually very, very white. Because she's a giant white snake. But she's got a lot of red markings on her that super pop out.
I was talking about Booby Girl, not the snake.
Oh yeah, the Steel Lady is
very bright and pink and purple.
Super saturated and glowing, yeah. But in episode 2, the snake, for example, is like
very bright.
Is very, very like ivory white. The red is extremely like crimson. So they make their choices with color in the show very deliberately, and it's interesting to see.
Yeah. Not as unwatchable as Copper would have thought. Still pretty unwatchable, but
If we had watched the first 3 episodes only of this show, I would have said this show is not going to go somewhere good because of episodes 2 and 3.
I agree with you.
If you're like watching the show to go through and watch the show, like and want to try to enjoy it, you kind of have to push yourself through episode 2 because it is really slow.
It is not a good episode. That's the thing too, is I like, because I pushed for this because I heard from a couple people that like the Steel Lady arc is really interesting and good, and the show picks up during and after it, and that like they just needed to get to that point. And then I saw that they were doing it. I was like, oh, so that's probably good. And I watched the second episode and I was like, if I pushed us into a bad show again, I'm gonna be so mad.
Yeah, so I watched the show, all the episodes with the girlfriend. And when we watched the first episode, we didn't watch the second one or anything until today.
Yeah.
We watched the first one when we were first going through shows for this, like for us to go through.
Yeah.
So it was weeks ago now. We watched the first one of this, and she's like, "I like this show. It seems kind of interesting. I'm curious about where it's going." And then we watched episode 2. She's like,
I'm not interested anymore.
She's like, "I don't like this." I'm like,
it did a very bad job of holding interest between the first 2 episodes. Like, and that's. Am I happy with where it's going now? Yes. Am I entertained? Yes. Was that a good choice from the makers? No.
No.
Yeah. All right.
Like,
so, yeah, it's. I'm glad that you guys are excited about where it's going. So, how about episode 4 and 5? How are we?
So,
like,
episode 4 and
happened
5,
there?
we find out more about the Steel Lady. That's kind of the focus.
The Steel Lady, and that. Oh, okay, the Steel Lady.
That's
Got
the
it.
ghost.
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
that's what they're calling it. It's Steel Lady Namaste or something like that is her name.
yeah.
So we're just gonna call her Steel Lady for pronunciation reasons.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So
it's just simpler.
they're investigating the Steel Lady. You get some background on the person before they had died. Turns out, as we mentioned, she was an idol. Misfortune kind of followed her around a little bit. Like a year before she herself died, her father had died. He'd fallen down the steps of his apartment and broken his neck. And they killed him, of course.
That sucks.
But some rumors started a few months later that,
She killed him.
That he was murdered and that she's the one that did it. He had this big life insurance policy out on him. He'd apparently left.
He pushed her to do idol stuff and all of
There
that.
was this, he'd been complaining to a buddy of his at a bar that, he was kind of jealous of his daughter, that she'd always rubbed her intelligence in his face because apparently she's like a super intelligent person as well as being this like really hot person.
And then he also wrote notes 5 months ahead of time before he died about saying, like, I think my daughter is going to try to murder me.
Yeah. Now, all this stuff is rumors only, right? There's no like police looking into it. Nobody's looking into the death of her dad or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they're rumors. So her agency is like, we've got to, lay low a little bit, let this stuff blow over. Because if we address it, it looks like we're trying to,
it looks like we're acknowledging that something happened when it
so
didn't.
We're just going to ignore it. You're going to take a little vacation, go stay at some different hotels, yada, yada, yada.
Get out of town. Just don't get seen.
So she's like, okay, fine, whatever. So she goes, that's how she's hotel hopping and ends up dying in this accident.
Yes.
And then nothing about the ghost is making sense. Like the girl mentions the fact that she can't communicate with it, like it won't speak to her. She's also not sensing any intelligence from it or any form of malice or anything like that, which she can normally sense from yokai or spirits, especially angry spirits.
Yes.
So she's like, something here isn't right. What's going on? And starts researching her. Turns out there's a website voted to like a ghost wiki for the ghost with an exact image of the ghost on it as a drawing. She's like, well, that's strange. And then she realizes something.
I loved this explanation, by the way. I thought this was like, because that's how it works.
This is an awesome explanation, which we'll get to. So that's what she realizes. She's like, okay, I need to speak with the police lady to find out more about how she had died. So she sets up a meeting with her.
She sends a yokai to go get her, and the yokai is obviously like a little tiny Japanese general riding a corgi or some shit, just screaming at her.
Yeah, so she agrees to meet. She's going to meet her while she's waiting for her to meet, another ghost comes and says, "Hey, Steel Lady has appeared." She's like, "Oh crap, I better go make sure that nothing happens." So she leaves, and she comes across the Steel Lady trying to kill somebody. She's like, "Oh no, I've got to intervene." Then she realizes, "Oh no, it's Immortal Boy, who's been missing for a week previous to this and wasn't answering her calls or texts or anything like that." So she's like, "What the fuck?" So he's able to get a jump on the ghost. They end up fighting. She ends up crushing his head with a steel beam. He gets back up.
God damn!
And can avoid her attacks because he's now died, so he can see the future. So this allows him.
The combat scene with him where he just like walks up and stops and the girder goes an inch in front of his face is because so well done.
Yeah, because he now knows the future, so Jesus. That doesn't actually, he knows exactly what she's gonna do. Exactly. Avoids her, grabs her, is able to break her neck, killing the ghost.
but like, wouldn't he, knowing how the fight is gonna plan out, so he adjusts? Wouldn't that change the fight? Because then him reacting different would make her react different.
Well, yes, but actually no.
Well, what he does is he sees the point where she's going to attack him with the girder and then stops. So the girder misses him, which allows him to grab the ghost and break the ghost's neck.
Okay.
Yeah, which is what he does.
I'll be right back.
So the ghost is dead.
Got it.
And then gets back up, which is not normal for a ghost when he kills it, because apparently when you kill spirits, they're supposed to dissipate and die, like be gone forever type thing. But this one doesn't die, it just gets back up, puts its head back on the right way. And then the girl is about to intervene with the cop to come to his assistance, and the ghost disappears. They go back to the cop's apartment. There's a little bit of back and forth about their ex-relationship and the fact that, yes, he's actually in a relationship with the weird girl.
Oh, is he actually then? Okay.
Yeah, he apparently is.
Okay.
It seems like he's grudgingly so, though. Like, it's not like he's happy about it. Like, trust me, when you see it, you'll see what I mean. And then they discuss
talking about when Kuro was asked if he was her girlfriend.
Yes.
Or,
so then
he was her boyfriend. Yeah.
Then they just
yeah.
Yeah, it's this grudging thing. He's like, I'm not really happy about this. So they then go and discuss about where the ghost is from. And according to her, the ghost isn't actually ghost of a person. It's a imaginary creation caused by basically the internet. Which is why everything matches up so perfectly to this wiki, like the appearance of the ghost, what it looks like. Why is it pandering to the public? Because if it was an actual angry spirit, why is it in like this sexy mini dress where you can't see its face? Stuff like that. Like there's all these little details that are basically weird for an actual yokai to have, like an actual angry spirit, but make perfect sense in terms of internet culture and kind of how rumors and stuff spread. And so she goes through this thing, explains how these things occur.
Like the collective consciousness of all these people believing that this ghost exists basically willed it into existence.
Yes.
Okay.
And she's like, so normally these things, they don't last super long. They're not usually dangerous. She's like, but this one's kind of different. So, we can't deal with it in the same normal way we would deal with a normal ghost, because that won't work, as we've seen previously. She's like, but I've got to, kind of got this plan for what to do. And that's kind of the end of the episode, and we're up to date.
Yeah.
So it looks like in episodes 4 and 5, they added a lot more action than what they had in, previously to the whole series at this point. But there's still not like a ton of action. There's a lot of character interaction in the show. There's a lot of like detective work scenes and things like that. So I don't think it's going to be like a super over the top action show, though I am hoping we get more action than not.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
The action scenes that they had were animated really well.
Yes. Yeah. The action scenes are animated super well.
If we get a small amount of them, but they're animated that cleanly, I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, listen, I love Dragon Ball Z, right? But goddamn, some of those fight scenes are hideous.
Oh yeah, some of the Dragon Ball Z's
they go down to 3 frames per second at points.
Now,
and if you look at me and you say, well, that sounds stupid. One of my teachers literally worked on Dragon Ball and told us that he drew at 3 frames per second because some of the fight scenes and stuff needed to be just cut down. they didn't have the budget for it. So
They didn't have the budget. You gotta remember, despite Dragon Ball being as popular as it is now, Dragon Ball originally came out in the 80s and early 90s. Like, it's a very old show,
yeah,
which
and
people don't tend to remember. And because of that, there wasn't the type of budgets thrown at anime back then that you have thrown now. The fact that Dragon Ball is so popular now is actually super surprising.
it's kind of astonishing, all things considered.
Yeah.
Just because
That's
Dragon
not
Ball's
normal.
great, but it's not like, it's definitely not good enough to stand that test of time. Again, it's like one of my favorite shows, so like, this isn't me saying it's bad, but I mean it is.
And they've kept the same voice actors aside from those who have passed away the whole time the show's been on, like through all the movies and everything. So
yeah,
it's very much almost a
Crazy.
family production nowadays because the people have been working together for so long, which is why.
Too bad Sean
one of the
Schmell
best.
is just like kind of an ass.
Yeah.
Dab.
So well, every
Good thing
family
Chris
has one.
Sabat's my hero.
So, but yeah, so
Vegeta is a perfect character. Change my mind. All right, but yeah, that's Inspector. We kind of caught up.
yeah,
we're so
caught up.
good at this.
It's an
Hey.
interesting show. I can't say I wouldn't recommend it because it looks like it's going somewhere good currently.
It's a damn
but-
roller coaster.
But based off the first,
First three
Yeah.
episodes, I'd say no.
yeah, the first 3 ones, I'd say no.
The first 5 episodes, I'd say yes. First 1 episode, I'd say yes. First 5, I'd say yes. First 3, I'd say no.
No, yeah, it's a very weird,
It's a
Like-
roller coaster. Like it's
like
going
up and then
kind of
down,
everywhere.
and then so I don't know where they're going with this, but it could be interesting.
I'm hoping it's interesting. I've heard good things from people that have looked into the future of it. So
Probably
I'm
light
hoping-
novels or manga or something. Yeah,
yeah.
so
Someone I knew
hopefully-
that read the manga was talking
So-
about it. So
hopefully they stick to it, unlike our last show.
man, it's fucking wild how episode 6 was just a hardcore porn parody.
Episode 3, yeah, episode 3.
Oh, I
manga
was talking about
issue
Inspector,
7.
just making a joke.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I hope not. I would be so like, oh my god. It's like,
It'd be- It'd be kind of funny. Let's be real.
The
like
three
the
of
deal-
them just get down, you know.
it's like, oh yeah, like we've dealt with the ghost first part of episode 7 or episode 6. So end of episode 6, we're dealing with porn ghosts. Like, oh my god, why?
Steel Lady Nonase, why did you take off all of your clothes?
Like this ghost has even bigger boobs. Oh no, this one's just a floating dick. Oh my god.
This one is actually just boobs. Like it. We're terrible people. We're so stupid. How do we think this is funny?
I don't know.
It is funny. I
don't know.
love the fan reaction to the whole thing with Funimation for them taking it off the air too. People like fans are so mad at them.
It's pretty 50% of well, yeah, and what? They didn't know what they were getting into ahead of time. It's like, well,
The thing is, I
No.
can't even blame Funimation because if they looked at the source material, they would have went, "Okay, this is a little risque, but it's fine."
and the thing is too, the studio making it is the studio making High School DxD, which is very risque, but like at the end of the day, like it still,
It's still-
can go on TV.
Yeah, it's still fine enough for television. Like it's still,
There's a lot of
especially
boobs, but it's okay.
but especially for Japanese like animation for anime, it's like okay, it's there's a lot of fan service, but it's not that bad
Uh-huh.
in comparison to other things that are out there.
Right.
Even High School DxD like is not actually that bad in comparison to other shows that are out there. Like
I've
it's still
heard
shown
about
on
Queen's
TV.
Blade.
Yeah, there's Queen's Blade, for example. So, and then they're like, okay, well, we're making this one. And they look at the source material, like, yeah, that's fine. Like, nothing like bad here. Like, they might do an uncensored version, but that's whatever. That's not what we're going to be showing. And then they're like, episode 3, they're like, what the fuck happened with this episode? Because it's
Yeah.
not even in the manga. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, it'll they'll get you that way. It's a trick.
Yeah, that's what got them is that they went away from the source material in a way that nobody really expected them to do.
Yeah, don't think it'd be like it is, but it do.
Like even if they hadn't gone that far into it, it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's like a slime girl going too deep. That's what happened. Like,
Moo woo. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it.
Yep.
I'll be right
Yep.
back.
gonna be stuck in your head forever now. Don't worry about it.
All right. So, did we discuss at all what was a possible like next show?
So, for
An
those
adult.
wondering what
I
I was
always
alluding
mean
to,
adult.
we have an award show coming up for next week.
Is that what we're
going to go over? More than likely, yes, because that's going to take up quite a bit of time. There's a lot of different subjects
all right.
to go over.
Wait, do I have to watch the award show?
So the great thing about the award show is that some of the shows are shows we've already looked at.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Other things are just categories such as best opening song, like theme song. So
right.
you only have to watch.
That is my least favorite part of anime. No, not true. That is one of my least favorite parts of anime. Is these ridiculously over the top, happy-go-lucky, uppity fucking openings. Fuck off.
To be fair,
yes.
An anime that you love is up for a bunch of categories, including best opening song.
Is it Vinland?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Vinland. But they can only take the first half.
That's the thing. I haven't looked at which Vinland song it is because they do list the songs out. So what I'm thinking is that we go through the categories, like decide, like, you know, say like best boy or best girls. Like look at the people, go, okay, which one is the
Wait,
best?
is there
like,
a best boy and best
song?
girl category?
Yeah.
God damn it.
What's like best male character, best female character? Like it's an award show. Same thing you'd have.
Sure.
You know, like Golden Globes or something like that for all the different categories. That's what they have here.
Got it.
So, like for the songs, they lift off the songs, right? So I'm hoping, in terms of Vinland Saga, at least, that the opening song they chose is the first one they had because the second one sucked goddamn ass.
Best octopus scene. That's gonna go to Interspecies reviewers probably if they just wait another year. There's gonna be octopus girls. There's going to 100%.
You got this
gonna be
assumption that
octopus girls.
this is not a thing that's already existing, which is an odd assumption to have.
Oh, was it in episode 4? Probably.
Octopus girls in Interspecies reviewers is like episode 1.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
There
Anywho,
is.
she's got suckers, guys. She's got suckers. So are we not going to be watching a TV show then? Just going to be covering?
Probably not.
Covering
We're just
that.
going to go
Okay.
through the award
I'm
show
down
stuff.
for that.
Yeah, because that's
Now,
you know, about the same amount of content to go through.
okay. So are you guys just going to read through the thing and then we'll discuss it then? Is that the plan or?
Yeah. So when Comfy gets back, we're just going to go through stuff. I just didn't want to start discussing the actual what categories and whatnot until Comfy sat his ass back down.
There he
because
is.
He's a lazy bastard.
I just sat my ass back down.
That he's never here when he's supposed to be. Like I don't understand where he's. So, Comfy. So next week we're not going to be looking at a show. So talking with Dale while you were gone. We're going to be going over the award ceremony.
Nice, yay!
So for, well, I guess most people are aware now. There's an anime award awards happening on what is it, the 15th? So the Saturday, so the day before we record. We're going to be going through the different categories about the awards, whether we agree with the the nominations as well as who wins.
Got it.
So there's a bunch of different categories, of course, because it's an award show. So we have things like Anime of the Year, Best Animation, Best Boy, Best Girl. Those are actual category names.
Yeah, of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? This is anime.
Best Score, which sadly
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Best Director, Best Character Design, Best Protagonist, Best Antagonist, Best Fight Scene, Best Couple, Best Comedy, Best Drama,
I do
all this
want
stuff.
Hopper to know, I made an effort like a couple weeks ago to try to put together an awards show that I had lists of like actual like anime and stuff that were up for awards, and I did an effort and I did a bunch of fun stuff. And the joke was going to be the winner of every single category was going to be JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, even if it wasn't listed or nominated, which it wasn't for almost all of them. And I was just going to do it to piss off Copper, but then I realized that after I had done 5 categories, it was so much work. 5 categories was too many.
Good. It looks like the opening, because best opening sequence, Vinland Saga is up for it.
Good is
if
the
you
first
remember,
one.
Vinland Saga has a very good one and then a very shitty one.
So they're using
So
the first.
it looks like they nominated the good one.
Good.
The good dude, that was easily one of my favorite openings. Period. What are the other best openings?
So the other best opening sequences we have Carol and Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
The Promised Neverland,
Very good. Very good.
Mob Psycho 100 season 2, also very good.
Mhm.
Fire Force, I remember them having a good opening as well.
Mhm.
And Addison's favorite, Domestic Girlfriend.
Nice.
Got
So
it.
there's we have like things like best performance by an English actor, which is going to be difficult for me since I watch everything in Japanese.
I flip flop, but yeah, that's gonna be a rough one, dude. Okay,
And here's a
We'll talk
rough one
about
for
good.
Dale, which is best performance by a voice actor in Japanese, since he watches everything in English.
No, I don't. I just prefer it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't watch anything besides what I have to watch for the show. At least mostly. So like.
so just we've all been playing some
So-
Code Vein this past week.
So yes, so
Okay.
so this is
we-
next week.
We loaded in. I loaded into Code Vein with the character creator,
Hmm.
and it was like, okay, pick the voice that you want for your character. And the very first one, I was like, oh, this is the main character from Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and I love her, so she's obviously my voice actress. And literally every other character that's talked, I've been like, I know you from somewhere.
So we might as well, because that's what we're doing next week.
Mhm.
For anybody who wants to watch along, the award ceremony is being put on. Hold on here.
This is the Crunchyroll Awards, right?
Yes, by Crunchyroll. So you should be able to go through and vote.
Do we have a list of the panel of judges? Because
I have no idea. But yeah, so
let me look at because
we're going to
there's
be going through what the Crunchyroll Award stuff was. So I'm not sure. I didn't look at any like who the judges were for the show or anything like that. But we're going to cover that and see what we agree with and what we don't. And there's probably some shows on there we should probably look at. Like I've heard a lot of things about Carol on Tuesday, stuff like
I've heard
that.
a lot of really good things about Carol on Tuesday.
That is also something that, like, it's not something I would normally watch. So it'd be interesting to take a look at it. But we can go through that, and then our other normal episode of an investigator, which I'm hoping keeps the same pace as the last two episodes.
It's a roller coaster right now. Yeah. Okay. I just looked at the judges list. There's nobody that I know. Every once in a while they'll throw in a couple people that I follow on like Twitter and stuff. So I'm always
Okay.
interested to see.
So you might as well,
Hate the
because we've got
Crunchyroll
what
Awards.
we're-
Listen, you got to hate everything industry. That's how it is.
Yeah, it's usually how the industry works. So, as Comfy mentioned, we've kind of all been playing Code Vein. So, what have your thoughts been on it?
I really enjoyed it. It
I-
feels
Yeah.
so. I have accepted that I am now just a Soulsborne player because I've fallen in love with these games, even though I've spent years hating them.
Yeah. No shit. Remember we had a conversation. You're like, Dark Souls is fucking bad, and you were like being a dick about it, and now you're like, I love
We've
this
had
shit.
that conversation. Yeah, that conversation took
I
place
hate
on
it.
this show.
I hate,
Yeah.
I hate
So-
it. I hate it so much because I hate the combat in Dark Souls, but I love like the progression of Dark Souls and I like the systems in it.
Hmm.
So, which is one of the reasons that I fell in love with Sekiro because it has a lot of those systems dumbed down and the combat is still difficult, but it's better combat. But man, I've been sucked into Soulsborne, and I really like Code Vein because the way I put it was, it feels like I just have a bigger kit of weapons and tools, and I'm not getting screwed over by
Code
using what I
Vein?
want.
Oh, because of the like
Yeah.
abilities and
Code
shit.
Vein is
Because
not
yeah.
for
the
for those
weapons
wondering,
are
Code Vein
not.
is not as difficult as a normal Souls game.
oh god,
Not
no.
even close.
At all, not even close. Part
It
of
is-
that
it
is due
is
to the fact
difficult,
that you
but-
have an AI partner and can summon someone in, so you can have actually like 3 people with you.
I mean, you can summon
the
people
AI
in Dark
partners-
Souls too, which makes
can
the
do that
game
in Dark
also
Souls as
easy.
well.
Yeah, yes,
And
but
you can have
then,
AI partners in Dark Souls, but they're just not.
yeah, they're not as
not-
good as the AI partners here.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The
AI
AI partners in Code Vein are absolutely insane.
Yeah, they're extremely useful. It's weird how useful they actually are.
I like turned around and like one of the boss enemies was just dead because my dude murdered him.
Yeah,
like-
the AI is actually quite strong. They're
Mhm.
actually very useful.
They listen when their callouts aren't
Yeah, and-
annoying as hell. They make a lot of sense and are very helpful.
Yeah, so it that helps the difficulty of the game quite a bit, because normally in a Souls game you'd be running around by yourself,
Yeah.
not having an AI call out, hey, there's enemies who are looking to gank us from above, which is something they'll actually call out
And then mark
the
on your
game.
map for you.
Yeah, which is insane.
They also not only do they do that, but they'll also call out like it looks like we need to go down here or up here.
Yeah.
And in a lot of it has a lot of the vertical puzzles that Dark Souls loves to have for no reason. Which is basically the vertical puzzles are basically, look, you need to drop down here at the right way at the right time. And a lot of the times in Souls, it's very easy to miss that because it's like, where the hell am I supposed to go? And you're just not looking straight down because why would you?
Yeah.
So.
But in comparison to other Souls games, I probably prefer this more. It's not the difficulty thing.
Have you played other Souls games a lot, or?
I have.
Okay.
I don't like them very much.
Okay.
I feel like I can
Dark Souls
do more
games. I do not enjoy them. Part of it is the fact that, as Comfy alluded to, you're kind of pushed to go like a certain way. I find with Souls, like you can't really experiment as much.
With the weapons?
You end up getting
in Souls, which is dodge and cut.
Yeah. In Souls, it's just not as in depth the RPG mechanics. Like
that's what I was loving about this game so much. Aside from the character creator, which is also insanely in depth.
You can do different if you want to do a cool build. You can in Dark Souls. You just kind of build yourself to be like a mage character, really, which is not something I typically do. There
are plenty of different builds in Souls, but the kits that you have are very limited.
Oh yeah, they're not as in depth.
The kits that you can have in Code Vein seem very expansive, especially that it gives you a bunch of different classes to choose from that you can hot swap between.
Right.
And a lot of different abilities.
Like there's a ton of classes to go out and collect, a bunch of abilities in each class. As you max out an ability in a class, you can then use that ability with any other class, which is extremely interesting. You can slot up to 8 abilities at a time that are active abilities and up to 4 passive abilities. So you can have like 12 abilities running on you at all times, which is, really interesting because it allows some very unique builds because you can kind of mix and match anything you want.
I was having a great time.
So, added into the fact that there's a bunch of different weapon types and armor types that give you different special move as well for backstabs and stuff like that, which I know Comfy in particular loves.
Dude, I spent Dark Souls 3 not learning how to do backstabs until the end of the second DLC.
Oh my god! Okay.
Well,
you also went through Dark Souls. Like you do a lot of co-op in these games, which I notice. It does make it like it's fun, but I do not enjoy the co-op in it.
It makes it slightly easier. So the real difficulty with Dark Souls a lot of the times and Sekiro and Neo and all of these games and Bloodborne is that you are only as strong as your enemy. And so if you're fighting one enemy, it's an even match and it's a rough fight. If you're fighting 2 enemies, then suddenly you're not having a good time. And if it gets more and more, it just gets really, really rough. So having an AI companion or having a teammate help you can increase the ease significantly.
Yeah.
And in some fights, it does literally nothing. In some fights, it can shift the entire dynamic.
Yeah.
And that is something that you need to understand about co-op and stuff. It does change the game a lot. I did a decent amount solo in Dark Souls 3, but I did have Pingu wanted to play it with me, and he was a very good guide.
Yeah.
That I really enjoyed having him around. Code Vein looks like it's going to be a lot more solo simply because it boasted a better co-op system than it really has. So
yeah, the thing I don't like about the co-op in those games is you can't interact with the fires and
you can't interact with.
It's a pain. I just don't like that. I just do not like. Plus, especially in Code Vein, it makes the game laughably easy, and I'm just like.
In Code Vein, it makes the game extremely easy because the AI is so strong. You're a partner,
and then you combine that with having a real player. It's just like
I did a lot of solo yesterday, and it was.
Co-op makes it very easy. Or if your co-op person who joins you isn't very good, or if they're very high level, it does scale them, which is good, but it also scales the fact of how many heals they can use to 2. which
Yeah.
is actually less than the starting amount you have in the game, which is weird. Like, that was a weird choice,
Yeah.
I found. Like, why not just give them 3? Because that's
Well, so the way
amount
it
you
works
get,
in
so,
Dark Souls is you get half rounded down.
it's not even
So-
half rounded down. It's literally 2
Is it always 2 in this?
that I've noticed. Yeah.
Well, how much
So,
co-op did you do beyond when you actually unlocked the ability to carry more potions and stuff?
when I was joining you, I had 6.
Oh, okay. So you were already at 6. Okay. So yeah,
So
two
it was
is
scaling me
a
to
lot.
2. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's if it's supposed to do that or if it's a bug.
I couldn't tell you. It might
or
also
what,
be.
so-
It also might have something to do with how far along your co-op, like how far along I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
might be something to do with it.
It's hard to say without
Yeah.
knowing for sure or talking to people in the wider community. But when we were running through it, it was like, you have 2 heals. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't like that. Why do I
So-
only have 2?
Yeah.
Either way,
I was
we didn't.
I was just having issues with like me and Pinky both started at the same time, and then he couldn't get any of the gear that I was getting in my world, and he couldn't
Yes,
progress
that's-
his own gear as well.
Yeah, it's
That is the other thing. You earn haze, which is basically souls in the game when you're playing multiplayer. But
Yeah.
because you can't interact with the Mistle, you can't spend it, which is kind of annoying. Which means you can't upgrade your weapons and armor, which is annoying as shit.
Yeah.
You can't upgrade your character. You also can't heal, and regain like your healing uses and stuff like that.
mhm.
So it's a very. It
Yeah.
looks like the
seems they
multiplayer
had
was.
an opportunity to make a better multiplayer than Souls, but just copy pasted it.
Yeah, it looks like they basically put multiplayer in as an assistance way for people to get help with bosses.
Yeah, that's the
or
only time I've
tough
ever done it in
spots
Souls.
and
Like if I'm
levels, which
really
is kinda
struggling
what
on
it
a
seems
boss.
like.
Yeah.
It's not like, for example, if you look at another game the same type of vein, somewhat, you'd be looking
I hate
at.
you. I hate you.
I don't even think he meant to do the pun.
I know. That's the worst part.
It was
I
a
know.
really good pun. But we didn't
If
talk
you look at
about
the
exactly
the
what
same type
Code
of thing,
Vein
which
was. It is the anime Dark Souls where you're
Yeah, it's
vampires
anime
basically.
waifu maker Dark Souls.
Yep. You don't have to be a waifu, but chat would have been.
You can be a
upset.
husbando, but
You can be a husbando.
but
Addison
why
and,
would you
are-
stare at a dude's ass?
Addison
well,
and
if
Copper
you're-
would have been very upset if
you're
I had
into,
not made a
if you
waifu.
want to look at a guy's butt because you like guys' butts, you can make a really sexy guy. Go ahead.
Maybe if you want to dress
Maybe
as
I will.
Jorno.
Maybe I'll remake my character and I'll just run around as a
know,
man in
if-
my underwear and be like, "Look,
If you
we're
want to put a guy
flipping
in
this thing
fetish
on his
gear,
head."
there are mods for that. If you want to
I'll do it.
have
We'll do it. We're gonna.
Sale doesn't need
on
a
your-
mod to be in fetish gear.
on your guy that you can't show on stream because of adding nudity is against TOS everywhere,
Yeah.
that's a thing for both sexes. So
Mm-hmm.
the modding community is very open on both ends, which
Good.
is nice.
I'm
I know we
sitting
just-
here going right now.
Yeah, that's out there. So the character creator's good. Combat in this game is super fun. I find
Yeah.
the game isn't as hard as your normal Souls.
The RPG elements are fucking great. Like how you can
the
basically.
RPG elements are the best of any of this type of game I found.
Oh yeah, like the fact that
Um,
you basically there's like so far I've discovered maybe a little over a dozen classes, and each class has so many abilities. And the thing is,
Yep.
you can just take the abilities of a certain class and put it on a different class, so you can
Yeah, which
create
is
whatever the fuck
so
you
good.
want, which is really cool.
It feels really fun and dynamic.
Yeah,
Yes,
like I right
um,
now have like a giant sword, and I just put a dex booster, a dex strength booster, and a dex vitality booster, all from different classes, and put it together, and now I just hit like a fucking truck, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's nice. As well as the
if I could
abilities.
take elements from the various games in this genre,
Mhm.
it would probably be more towards difficulty of your standard Souls game, the RPG elements and how they work in this game, and then the multiplayer from something like Remnant, because the multiplayer in
get-
Remnant is insanely good.
Can I get Sekiro combat though, please? Thanks.
Remnant. Oh yeah, the multiplayer in Remnant. Yeah, that
That is the best multiplayer
in a
of
game kind
any-
of like this. Yeah.
yeah, like bar none. Like it is hands down insanely good and well thought out.
Yeah, it's just like co-op in any other fucking game, you know?
Yeah, it's
Rather than
actually
just-
like it's balanced. Like
Right.
things scale and balance for multiplayer.
Yeah.
Both people can collect experience. Both people get loot. Like
They advance their fucking stories. It's great.
yep, like it's great. what you actually want from multiplayer in this.
If this game
Also,
had a
if you've never
multiplayer
played
like that,
Remnant and you like this style of game,
Remnant's a third-person shooter version.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, Remnant is a third-person shooter version of a Souls game, and you can do melee in the game, 100%. There are melee weapons. There are people who've gone through the whole game playing melee, except for a couple of bosses where you actually have to shoot them because you cannot damage them with melee because they fly. Yeah, I would say Remnant, if you have not tried it, go try it. It is insanely good, and they
Very
have
good.
Also, not a full-priced game.
Yeah, it's not a $60 game.
What is it, 30 normally, or is it 40?
I
It's
think
normally
40.
40, I
Okay.
believe.
I want to say 40. It could be 30. Either way, it's worth your money.
Yeah, it's. I think it's 30 in the States.
Very high up on the Steam charts, so you know it's got quality.
Yeah, the game is really good. Like really, 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 really good. You'll enjoy
You'll
playing
play
through
it
it.
for-
Like if you like this type of game, and you don't hate shooting mechanics, you'll love Remnant. Like just go play through it. Plus, they are putting out more content for it, and the content is free. So
Oh hell yeah!
Right.
And
Kinda
Code
hard
Vein
to-
just had DLC released like last week.
they did, and its DLC actually has been getting flack for being light on content.
Well, that sucks.
So, mind you, their DLC
Wait,
was also like $10
Which DLC? For Red
Code Vein.
for Code
Code
Vein.
Vein, okay.
Yeah, Code Vein put out some DLC content. I think it was like $10.
I don't know if I'll get a
for
DLC. I don't know. We'll see.
And then people are like, it's kind of light on content. I'm also like, it's $10. So
Speaking of light on content, have you guys been doing the Empyrean Foundation?
Nope.
I am currently running through the whole spider loop currently, where he is selling data lettuce for shards, and then glimmer for data lettuce, and just putting more and more levels into my obelisk.
Nice. I'm
just
currently
so I can...
finishing up my my weekly bounties on my final character this week.
Oh, I hadn't even bothered with that because
Hey, I hit level 69.
Nice. Bwah, bwah,
Sorry,
bwah. Okay.
oh, that's what I'm not doing. Oh, crap! I gotta. Okay. So if you are looking to gain levels on your season pass right now, and you have a crap ton of shards, what you
Oh,
want to go
man.
do is go to the spider, trade shards for data lettuce, use the data lettuce to buy glimmer to max out your glimmer, then go back to the tower obelisk
Mhm.
and buy the exotic boost that is there that allows you to put up an
Light
obelisk by level.
Fractaline is what you want.
So before you use them though, because every time you turn one in, any bounties you have on yourself or time loss bounties will go up by 25%. Max out those bounties. In particular, if you use the shotgun, the Perfect Paradox, you can hold 6 of them.
By the way, Perfect Paradox can roll Demolitionist 1-2 punch. So
Yes. So not only can you
Damn.
easily farm for a perfect roll on the Paradox, because you can hold 6 of these. If every 4 of these you turn in, it'll complete those 6, which will then allow you to get a shit ton of experience, putting up levels in the season pass insanely fast. Like it's
Cool.
faster even than the cookie farm. It's stupid.
I'll give you a cookie
It is-
farm.
it is ridiculously fast.
You'll also put up your resonance power super, super quick. Like my resonance power is sitting at 88,000 right now, just from me doing this for like 15 minutes. Like it's dumb.
Yeah.
I did it for like maybe 20 minutes last night, and I'm at 110,000. So, and I'm not even close to done yet because I haven't
And
started today with the infinite loop.
Your resonance power is how much fractaline you'll get when you take your fractaline out for the end of the week, which you can then turn in for things. So this is supposed to help out the Empyrean Foundation to build up the foundation to its different community goals. I don't think I'm going to bother to give them any. I'm just going to donate the 5,000 I need to be able to finish off that triumph,
Yeah.
which I don't think pops until the whole thing is done. Which is
I don't know if I even care to fire up and get that title. Like, I don't. I already have a few titles. I'm not going to care if I miss one. I'm just feeling like I'm taking a break for Destiny for a bit.
Well,
I still want to hit
as you know,
Legend.
me and Comfy are massive fans.
Saint
of
14's
Saint 14,
dope. I
so-
love Saint 14, but I don't care. I don't.
Sometimes
the thing,
best
like-
boy just needs some help.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like me and Comfy are massive fans of Saint 14. He's our
He's a
favorite
great
character
character.
in the lore. And because we enjoy him so much, the title is one from him, which is cool. But in reality, we want the pin. So
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing.
I would love to be able to just buy a lot of the cool, like the replica guns that they give you. I would love to buy those, but I just do not have that kind of money for that
The
shit.
replica guns would be worth it if they actually made them full size and not quarter size.
Yeah.
That's what has stopped me from buying them. They are quarter size.
It's the same exact thing.
Otherwise, I would have bought a few of them already.
I would gladly spend more to get full size.
Have you guys? You've seen my Thorn and Ace of Spades replicas I have. So like I have full size replicas already, which are dope, and I like them. So.
Yeah. See, like I want those, but the problem is that you have to go through like Etsy or something to get an actual full size one.
Yeah.
And Etsy, as you know, much as people use and whatnot, there are some sketchy people in there. So.
Oh yeah.
It's Etsy can be great or terrible. I used it to get my Nezuko cosplay actually.
Also, the people who make things from 3D printers, depending on how they make them, are either really sturdy or
not good. But yeah, you have to.
It depends on how much they fill them. It depends on how much they sand them and take care of them.
You just got to pay attention to how well reviewed and how many reviews are per
no
shop.
Guarantee for
That's true.
Everyone though.
Yeah, it's never a guarantee on anything ever on the internet. I mean, we know this. We all know this.
It also matters about where you live, like because there's also delivery, which is a thing. So like some of the best ones I found on Etsy are in the UK.
Right.
Like there's some guys in the UK who make amazing shit.
But it's in the UK.
They're in the UK. So, which is, you know, a problem in terms of getting it delivered in terms of cost, but also in the terms of, will this be in one piece when it gets here?
Hard to tell.
Yeah, because customs is great all the time.
I know. I like having custom shit.
Yeah. Well, hey, did you guys do anything else cool this week?
I uninstalled Call of Duty. I got bored in like 3 hours. I was like, all right, I'm over this shit. I just did not enjoy it anymore. No, just played some Code Vein. I was getting frustrated with it from time to time. Like some of the shit didn't tell me where I was supposed to go. And I'm just like, oh, I have no idea where I'm going. Especially I'm stuck in the cathedral, which I think, are you in the cathedral still, Comfy?
Yeah.
It's a fucking maze and I have no idea where the fuck I'm going and I hate it. So I'm just like,
I mean, the cathedral is a maze. Like you're
oh yeah,
kind of
I know. So I'm still kind of I'm stuck in there. Like I don't know where to go. But like as a whole, I'm enjoying it. It's very fun. Yeah. I don't really have anything else going on.
I've jumped in Monster Hunter this week.
I do want to get back in to do more Monster Hunter stuff.
I want to jump in and go through the Rajang fight. I went through and did the optional quest, so my cat is now a wiggler in a pot, which is cool.
No, you haven't done the Rajang fight yet, have you? I did that.
No.
I don't remember what day. It was fun. It was very fun. But yeah, I'm gonna finish up Code Vein, and then I want to start doing another Subnautica playthrough. Actually, do the whole thing and finish it this time.
But yeah, I haven't actually been online that much this week because my dog wasn't feeling well. So.
Oh, is he okay?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Advanced arthritis, actually.
Oh, I was wondering because I haven't seen you around a whole lot. I was like, oh, everything's fine.
That's good. He wasn't doing well, so we had him to the vet and stuff like that. I mean, Warlock is almost 12.
That's pretty old.
Up there.
You know, especially for a dog that most of his life was 120 pounds.
Most big, like they say the general rule is the bigger your dog is, the shorter the life. So
the shorter lifespan. So a dog that is his size, he's, you know, most of his life was 120 pounds. Now in his old age, he's 110. So he's only lost and he's not fat. He's just big.
Yeah.
Like to the point where when the vet was examining him, had to have him stand up so he could get underneath him to try to listen to his heart. Because my dog's chest is actually so thick he can't hear it from the side.
Gotcha.
My dog's about as thick as two dogs standing next to each other, like normal size
or
dogs.
ideal anime thighs.
He's a tandem dog.
He's just big boy. So, but he's a husky mix, so he's like this massive front end on him. But like a lot of huskies, he's also getting arthritis in his back hips pretty severely, you know, being 12. So we now have him on on medication to keep the swelling down and pain down and stuff like that. So
I hope he does good.
Well, he's feeling a lot better. He's up and moving around. And
he's
stuff
going to be on that for a while, or for permanently
he'll
now?
probably be on that for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
just like most people who go on arthritis medication, you really don't come
Yep.
off it. So
Yeah, it's a fun time.
but at 12, he's even with this is still in amazing shape. He doesn't have any cancers. He's never had any big health problems. He's got all his teeth. Like for a 12-year-old dog, which given the size of him, is really really old.
Yeah.
He's in great shape. So
does he also mouth at you a lot and yell at you and bark?
yeah.
Because
Oh,
yeah, Huskies are like that. Chat.
Yeah, they like to talk.
They're fucking God. I love Huskies and they're adorable. I read a fact that the most God, what's it like? The most often abandoned dog or taken to shelters is Huskies because people are like, oh, I can't fucking deal with these guys.
Yeah, they're
very hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, here's
I
the thing.
love them. They're like my favorite type of dog, but I couldn't get one because they are very, very energetic.
Mm-hmm.
They're very energetic. They like to do stuff. They like to be busy. Because they're a working breed of dog, they do need to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need something to do. Unfortunately for me, and fortunately for Warlock, for a good chunk of his life, I've had difficulties with my back and moving around due to various injuries and whatnot. So he's always been, kind of a helper dog for me. So he's always had an actual job as far as he's concerned, be it helping me get around or guarding the house, because he's also trained as a guard dog. So he's always had work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, kept him happy and healthy. But if you don't put a working dog to work, they get bored, which means they get into shit. Because
Speaking
they're
of
trying to
Huskies,
entertain themselves, right? So they'll get into stuff.
It's the same reason I'll never be able to have a pet Finnick fox, because I love them so much, but they're so energetic.
Yeah,
They will ruin everything you own unless you're constantly taking care of them.
Yeah, they want attention. Like they want to be doing stuff. They're curious by nature. That's Huskies as well. And
exactly. Now, does that mean
that Huskies are also very, very lippy. They will argue with you straight up.
Oh yeah.
About it when you tell them to do something. They're
everybody
like, I don't
knows.
want to do that.
My Husky Sasha always fucking back talks my ass. It's hilarious.
Yeah, we hear every time.
Yeah.
Or if they want something, they're very, very vocal about it. It's literally to the point where my dog has taught my cat, who used to not make a peep, to be quite vocal about things when she wants something, which is super great.
Oh, great. My cat just yells when she wants to eat.
He's even taught. So if his water dishes, for example, are empty and we don't notice before he does, he'll go over, because he has 2 water dishes, and clang them together, and ring them like bells.
He's too smart.
He's taught the cat to do this, which is lovely. So now if the cat, can't reach the water or wants fresh water, she goes over and knocks the 2 water dishes together to ring them. And you look over and she's just sitting next to him and looking at you. It's like, hello, servant. So
hello, peasant.
Yeah. So
unlock the gateway.
I now have a puppy belly to. Oh, never mind. Yeah. I did have a puppy belly presented to me.
There you go. Had.
She rolled over. Now she's getting loves. Hi.
Nice.
So yeah, what do you guys got going on this week? Anything interesting?
Well, this past week I streamed almost none because I was working the Olive Garden overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that going on. You went and did the other thing we can't talk about yet.
I definitely did a thing that I can allude to but not talk about yet.
Yes, if you're curious about what Comfy is alluding to, go look at his Twitter. And you get an idea from there.
It's porn.
I posted an image. The long story short is I went to a Square Enix event, and they were very, very nice. And they gave me this very warm jacket, and I have no other information for you.
Yeah.
Maybe next week on the podcast or the week after, I might be able to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, probably some more Monster Hunter before the event is over.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
On the 13th. Ends on Thursday this week. So I'm definitely.
I still have.
I need my Wiggler head.
Like 2.
Is all the events ending? All of them that are going on right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be doing
not all of them, but the big thing with this, like the world event that's going on ends.
The big appreciation event, that's over. come at the end of the 13th, which is Thursday.
You're gonna have to make sure to I'm gonna have to really. I bet between you and Masa, people will be able to tell me what all I need to do. So yeah.
But yeah, there's a list of things I gotta finish off. That I should be done my Destiny thing today when I'm done here. Like I'll be done. Like because my resonance power is gonna hit 10,000. I only need 5,000 back line. So
yeah, I'm at 11,000 right now. So we're just.
So once I hit that, I'm.
So you don't even need 5,000 anymore for the Triumph.
No.
So they changed the Triumph now, so it's just make sure that like for the title. They changed the Triumph that's required for the title. That's just Imperium Foundation needs to get fully funded.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about hitting 5K anymore. You still should because you want the emblem.
Yeah.
But you don't need to worry about it. It's not the end of the world if you don't.
It'd be really surprising if you don't have, 5,000 put in. So it's
already get 11K tomorrow or Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, today if you haven't picked it up already this week.
Well, I'm not even done. I'm starting my loop now because I just finished all of my bounties.
Yeah. So it's
which I've been doing in the background because it's the most mindless thing possible.
Whatever your resonance level is, it'll give you that much fractaling straight off, which you can then donate, which is what you're supposed to do for the loop. If we go to the director, we should be able to see how many of these they've got done. So we've got the first 3 out of 7 finished completely already. So we're working on the 4th, which is probably going to be done this weekend. And then this coming week, we'll probably finish off the 5th, maybe the 6th. And then probably by next week or the week if not next week, the week after for sure, we will be done whatever we're building. Like, I can't see us not completing it.
We know what we're building.
We do, and it's also why I'm getting the 5,000 and that's it, because I'm not contributing anything towards trials.
Copper, fuck you and your trials.
I said it publicly on the internet, like on Twitter previously. Like someone's like, "What if what we're building is for trials?" And I'm like, "Then I'm not giving a fucking thing to it. Besides the 5,000 I need to get this thing done. Like that's it. Like 100%. That's all they're getting from me."
All right, I have discovered the new meta, and that's putting my resonance rank at 69 on everything. So
and the rest of them, I'll literally just hold on to them, then delete. Like that'll be it.
Copper is so anti-trials. Listen, I love trials, but I hate the culture that it spurs. Because I said this on Twitter. I had people who told me for years that I was shit at PvP because I never went flawless in trials, regardless of all the times that I went 7 or 8 wins. Then it was like, then after that, I finally went flawless in trials year 3 and had a different emblem than everybody else. It's like, oh, well, you only went flawless because the good players stopped playing. It's like, well, no, don't be that person. Why you gotta be like that?
Like, I don't like PvP as much as most people do. I still went flawless in trials at the height of trial in D1. So, and I never bothered in D2 because I do not, like, especially when D2
trials in D2 wasn't good.
PvP,
trials of the 9 was bad.
Yeah, when trials was around and PvP was a thing back then, during that like meta of that time, PvP was awful. Like just
it wasn't good.
Awful. Like it was so bad. I'm like, I'm not even playing this, and I didn't. So,
yeah, it was the Mida meta. I really like the Mida multi-tool. It's one of my favorite guns, but the Mida meta made me very, very hurt.
Yeah.
But for the shaders were nice. The weapons were cool too. They had good weapons, and you can't even get them anymore.
Right.
Like I missed that. But yeah, we I hope Trials of Osiris comes back because I really enjoyed that. My best clip ever on Xbox is me ending a round in 8 seconds and 3 sniper shots.
That's kind of cool.
It was, and you can see exactly how trash I am because I'm using a Thorn and off-meta sniper, and I'm a Striker Titan. So, and this was week 1 of Trials of Osiris, way back when House of Wolves dropped.
Yeah, I never really did a whole lot of trials.
I did like I don't know what it was. I was addicted to it. I hate PvP, but I just ran it.
Like in D1, it was better, I find, than D2's. Like their iteration of trials and D2's is not even comparable, really.
Trials also, like, near the end of D2, or like near the end of D1, it dipped heavily in quality just because the way that they were aiming for Trials to be. It was the PvP meta changed significantly because they were like, hey, you know what? Let's take away special ammo except for these boxes. And then so you had to spawn in with something that had special ammo, or with the only two things were No Land Beyond and sidearms. So all of a sudden the meta became No Land Beyond sidearms, and it just, don't get me wrong, No Land Beyond sidearms was hilarious and fun. But when it's the only thing everyone's using, it's not great.
Not so much. Right now, I'd be avoiding PvP just because of the infinite Warlock Super thing that's going on.
Yes.
Which is
Someone, I was running around the open world yesterday doing that, and I think someone reported me.
Like, it's...
I have very strong opinions about using glitches and exploits in games. If you are using glitches and exploits in a game that negatively affect anyone in any other way, you're an asshole. You're a bad person. Stop it. I was sitting in a corner throwing swords at the corner just to make it last forever and drawing stuff on the floor. And this dude walked up and reported me and left. I was like, okay.
Now, if you're not hurting anybody, or if you're like doing something solo, right ahead. I don't care.
Yeah. But if you're breaking game economy or something, because like the unnamed streamer broke game economy for unnamed game by using an exploit that the devs said, like, hey, we are aware of this exploit. If you use this, we will ban you.
Well, a
and
good example
of
that currently is Temtem. There are some bugs in Temtem. One of them is an exploit, was an exploit because I think they patched it already, where you could get, resources past the point of what you're supposed to, or you could get into areas where you're not supposed to get into, and people were abusing it, like intentionally abusing it, and so they got banned. And Temtem has a 100% no refund policy on, you're banned. Like, they don't go back and go, okay, we'll look at it and see.
They don't have an appeal system.
Yeah, so which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
And,
Bungie only recently added an appeal system as well. To Destiny. They originally did not have one.
Bungie originally, back in the day, before they did Destiny, when they banned someone, you were screwed. Like, there was no getting your account back or anything like that. And if they didn't ban you, they just set your account back to 0 and took all your shit, which in a lot of cases is funnier.
Well, it's more infuriating because, like, what's worse, saying, oh yeah, my account was, like, say you're joining a game, it's like, oh yeah, I used to have all the gear but my account got banned, or I had all the gear but they removed it. Like, just getting your ass handed to you like that, it's poetic justice. Right? And like,
Demolitionist Trench Barrel.
I got one of those. I got like 3 really good rolls. I got one with Demolitionist Trench Barrel, one with Demolitionist 1-2 Punch. Most of them I kept getting firmly planted though, which is so bad for both 1-2 Punch and Trench Barrel.
I think, it's just bad, isn't it?
Accurized rounds, light mag, barrel shroud, small bore with a handling.
It's not bad if you're hard scope sniping, but on shotguns, it's not a good perk.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've just upgraded my EDZ from 20 to 40 because, the first couple weeks, the first 3 months of this season.
Broken as shit. But yeah, I'm not going to be playing too much, I think, outside of trying to get that one last legendary run done in Destiny, and then
do the Legend one too. So, and
then some Monster Hunter to get stuff done, and probably more Code Vein. I think that's kind of be my week. I think
I'm going to be
aside from work, it is also Valentine's coming up. So for those of us who have significant others and loving relationships, we need to,
we're already back at this. We're already back at this.
Look, it's not my fault. Valentine's comes up. What am I supposed to do?
It's
am I supposed to send you Addison
statements?
Like, how am I supposed to get Addison to you? Like, really?
I don't know. Yeah, my wife.
I feel like you have my address, which is what scares me.
I do have your address.
Yeah, he has mine too. Yeah, my wife is taking me somewhere Friday for Valentine's Day, and she won't tell me where.
Oh man, you know where I'm going on Friday for Valentine's Day?
Streaming.
To the hospital to get an MRI scan.
Oh no.
I hate those.
Mm-hmm. So
Do you
I'm
at
gonna
least
be.
have the one that will come around you instead of you going into the machine?
Maybe
I think I
maybe
have
there
to
will
go
be a
into the
nice
machine.
nurse
It's
who
gonna
will
be
give
like
you
a 45
chocolate.
minute ordeal.
I
And
hate
I'm getting
those
an
ones.
MRE scan as well, so it's gonna be like, it's gonna be just like my stomach and my entire body is gonna be in it, and it's gonna be. I have to get there 2 hours early,
Ah,
and then I have
that's
to sit around forever. It's gonna be.
I hate the
great
ones you
time.
have to go into because they're so goddamn small.
Mhm.
Like
It's
the tube is so tiny. It's not.
it's all claustrophobic stuff, and
And then
luckily
like,
I'm
the
not
ones-
claustrophobic, so
Oh, it's just like the tube is like an like right above your face. You're stuck in there. There's nothing to do. You can't look at anything. Like it's as boring as shit, and you're not supposed to fall asleep. So,
yeah.
So
just
obviously
this
you
annoying
fall
thing.
asleep, right?
In comparison, they have ones that are basically just this ring. They'll actually move around you, which
Mhm.
are way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an entire time. So that's Comfy's medical saga.
Yeah.
Is he's gonna have to go deal with that.
I hope everything goes good.
Yeah, I do too. Never know.
So yeah.
But
So-
we're gonna doing that.
Next week we were going to be covering some Animu award shows,
show.
which is cool. Gonna enjoy talking about that hopefully. And the next episode of Inspector, I got to get caught up. So that's my list of
Yes.
things to do.
Yeah, you're gonna have a few to.
Yeah,
go through,
no,
which
be
is
Hey
fine.
Copper, when's the cooldown that we can watch isekais again?
Fuck off. I don't.
They
Probably
announced Log Horizon 3, so I want to use it.
Okay, when Log Horizon comes out, regardless, we're gonna be watching that one.
Fine.
I feel like we have to, but like, and the thing is, like, I got so hyped because they were like Log Horizon 3, which, guys, it wasn't supposed to happen for so many reasons. The
So,
director's in jail.
oof.
Yeah, that's
So-
the thing. So yeah, we'll definitely do Log Horizon before season 3 comes out.
Yeah.
There are a few things I want to go over as well. Like I want to check out the Darwin's game.
Yes,
we're
I've been-
probably going to come across a couple of shows from looking at the ones that were in the award show for possible things to look at as well. Like the Carol show, for example. So yeah, we'll have some things coming up in the future for sure for stuff we can go through.
Right. Cool. All right. So yeah, that's gonna be good. Where can people come check out all of your shit there, Copper?
You don't ask him.
He's not. He got
No,
up.
he's not there. I can
Okay.
see him. So you can find me online at Copperline Art, Copperline Designs on Twitter and Instagram, or copperlinedesigns.com if you're looking to get design work or illustration work done for various things. I don't really turn down stuff based on what it is.
What if
So,
I
yeah.
wanted you to design a dead copper lion that was like hung by its tail or some shit?
That would be fine.
Okay. All right.
Pretty much, I draw the line at things that are I don't even draw the line for political shit because I don't care,
Yeah.
especially if it's American politics, because I'm not American. So,
Sure. Plus, it's a joke.
the only thing I will draw the line at not doing are things that are hate speech or that kind of shit.
But let me
so-
ask you a question. If you never draw the line anywhere, how do you get any of your work done?
He just
Well,
said he draws the
mostly-
line.
Yeah.
I don't even know what conversation I came back into.
We were plugging shit. Okay. Speaking of which,
You're
where
plugging-
are people going to be able to see the future trials carries, Comfy?
Where? Oh, probably at twitch.tv/realcrafty.
There, yeah. Actually, you might see. Oh, look, this Demolitionist 1-2 Punch.
Hey, that's the role I got that I'm
Hey.
really happy with. So, so you can
Reload speed
find
on it,
me
too.
failing at trials carries and failing at apex carries and failing at everything else at mixer.com/Comfamous. You can find tweets about my go lives at twitter.com/Comfamous. You can find occasional pictures of my cat being an asshole at Instagram at Comfamous. And you can find some super cool merch at designedbyhumans.com/shop/comfimus or designedbyhumans.com/shop/Mr. Vengeance. And you can also find Mr. Vengeance at these places listed here.
Oh,
I have a
that's
question.
me.
How is your cat an asshole by laying in a basket?
My cat's an asshole all the time. Like, dude, I made food this morning. And I
just
put it on
want
the
to
bar. I
get
was like,
through
"There's
one
no way."
exit transition, please, once. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. It's
I
good.
had a good transition to Copper Road, and now I'm on a rant. She was like trying to eat my food off of my plate. And I had to like throw her off the counter because she's a cat.
Yeah, cats
So,
are dicks. Sometimes
Yeah, they're
at
also
least.
like, you could like yeet a cat like 200 feet and it'll be fine.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
No, don't throw cats.
Don't. But like, you could.
Sure.
Like when I used to live in an apartment building, my roommate's cat fell off the 4th-story balcony, like 4 stories down.
Uh-huh.
And walked it off. Nothing.
Yeah, the cat was the only thing the cat was upset about was the fact that 1, it was outside because it was an indoor cat and did not like outdoors, and 2, it thought it was in trouble for being outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's how cats be.
Well, you can find me at mixer.com/Mr. Vengeance. You can find occasional dog photos at twitter.com/Mr. Vengeance TV, as well as like Mr. Vengeance TV on Instagram as well. Thanks guys for listening. We'll see you next week for the award show extravaganza. That's what I've dubbed it. I guess for some reason. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Yes.
So I have something else to discuss with you guys.